1 second.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manny and I proudly serve as the Dean of Engineering, Technology, and Design at Miami-Dade College. And I'd like to welcome you to our Artificial Intelligence Virtual Information session. I'm truly excited to share this important information about our new AI programs. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you today, as well as those that are joining us via our social media platform. And so before we begin, I do want to go over our agenda and some of the things that we'll be talking about. During tonight's information session, we will be discussing important topics related to our new AI programs, such as the need for our AI professionals, our new AI programs that have been developed, our scholarships that are available, and hear from our industry partners about the impact of AI on today's workforce and the growing demand for AI professionals. And finally, we'll provide you the opportunity to engage with our industry professionals and ourselves and have conversations around any questions or comments that you may have regarding the program. As we are all aware, the use and impact of AI on society and the workforce is growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, according to a recent Bloomberg report, the artificial intelligence market is expected to grow annually around 39% between the years 2022 and 2028. And it is anticipated that industries will spend more than $300 billion in AI systems and operations by 2026. More importantly, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects 513,000 new jobs will be created in the AI field by 2029. As you can see, there's a clear need for AI talent in the coming years. And that's really where the college has stepped in, and we've decided to build that AI pipeline. And we're doing this by creating 3 degree programs that are stackable. First, the college credit certificate. We've been able to create 2 programs there. Those are short-term certificates that are geared towards upskilling existing professionals and any individual that's looking for gaining some additional skills in the area of AI. We have our 2-year program, which is an associate in science that we've also created. And we are awaiting approval from one of our accrediting bodies on a bachelor's of science in applied artificial intelligence. And so as you can see, the credits that you're going to earn within the college credit certificate, if you do complete that, those credits then transfer into the AS. They stack onto the AS, so you don't have to retake those courses. Those courses will automatically feed into the AS. And rightfully so, the same way the AS, once you complete your AS, then you can jump straight into the baccalaureate degree once approved. So when we're looking at the curriculum, you'll see the college credit certificate. We've created 2 college credit certificates, one in artificial intelligence awareness, the other one in artificial intelligence practitioner. We have the associate in science degree, like I said, that those 2 college credit certificates stack into, and that's the applied artificial intelligence AS. And then again, the Bachelor's of Science in Applied Artificial Intelligence. The Bachelor's of Science is the first in the state in AI. We are the first in the state and one of the first in the nation to offer this program. And we'll talk a little bit about more of our process and how we develop those curriculum. So when we're looking at the first college credit certificate that I mentioned, which was Artificial Intelligence Awareness, it's like I mentioned, it's suited for students interested in learning about the application of AI. So this one is more about building AI awareness. It's aimed at, it's 3 classes, so you'll see them there. It's 9 credits. And it's really the idea behind this college credit certificate is really to bring a fundamental knowledge of artificial intelligence and what that means within any discipline. And so if you notice the third class that's listed there, it says discipline specific elective. And one of the things that we understand in working with our industry partners is the need that AI touches everything. It touches all verticals. And so it's important to understand that we as individuals in different fields will need to understand and learn and know what AI is, and specifically how it's being applied within our different fields. And that's why that third discipline specific elective is created. For instance, we are partnered, we have a business class that's an applied AI in business. We're looking to expand that and do an applied AI in healthcare, an applied AI in other areas. And so it really is a great opportunity for an individual to jump in and just get their feet wet within AI. The other college credit certificate, it's more of a core technical AI degree, right? And so students are going to be learning about machine learning, computer vision, design. And so you'll see the courses there. It's a little longer. It's 6 classes. It's 18 credits. Along with the program elective, and if you notice, its estimated time to completion is 1 year. So it's a 2-semester program. And so within the year, you'll complete the college credit certificate. At that point, if you're interested in going into our AS degree, as I said, it stacks into it, then you're looking at a 2-year program. If you've already done the 1 year of that CCC, then you're looking at doing 1 more year for your AS and those credits stack onto them. So in this case, students, will take a deeper dive in AI. It is a technical approach, but the most important thing about these programs, I think, to mention is they are the application of artificial intelligence. And so traditionally, when you look at artificial intelligence degrees, you always had either math or computer science. You had to go down one of those tracks. Now what we're doing is we're saying, okay, that's where our program is different, is because we're saying this is the application of artificial intelligence, right? The important is, how do I apply artificial intelligence? What are those knowledge and skill sets that I need to know so that I can apply those skill sets within my field? So that's why it's important to note that this is an applied artificial intelligence degree, and it's really aimed towards the workforce. So some of our program highlights, our business industry leadership team, and we're very proud of this. And I like to explain to my students in this way. I cannot wake up and say, well, we're going to create a degree in underwater basket weaving. It just doesn't work that way. When we create a program at Miami-Dade College, we have to demonstrate that there's a workforce need. And the way we demonstrate that workforce need is to work with our industry, right? Our industry leaders and our industry partners. And we've done that for this program. We built an industry advisory team, per se, of AI leaders and professionals. And you'll hear from 2 of them today, a little later in this program. And really what we did was we sat down and we co-created this curriculum. So we listened to them. They told us, we're going to hire these individuals. This is what they need to know. These are the knowledge. These are the skill sets. These are the abilities that they need to have when they graduate from your program so that we can hire them. So we've built something that's tailored to the industry needs, which is amazing and creates a unique employment opportunities for all of our students. And so that's something that we're very proud of. These individuals obviously are leading in the industry of AI. And so to have them part of our co-creation of the curriculum was amazing. And we're very, very grateful for the time that they spent with us. And you'll see it as we talk about the curriculum. You'll see the courses, you'll see, and you'll hear from them in terms of how good this program is. Obviously, we like to, like everything at the Miami-Dade College, we like to provide our students with hands-on workforce readiness, making sure that when you graduate from this program, you're not having to learn something new. You have all the knowledge and the skill set to be able to succeed, to hit the ground running from day one. So how do we do that? We make sure that we have experienced, exceptional faculty who have been trained in AI, who are experts in AI, who are working closely with the industry leadership to really enhance and create that curriculum that you need. We have our state-of-the-art technology AI centers. We have one at North and one at Wilson. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. And then obviously the program, we do offer flexible course scheduling. So the courses are offered morning, evening, afternoon, weekends, in a variety of instructional modalities. So there could be either, online, blended, in person. We want to make sure that we're offering a program when you need it to take the classes and for it to be offered. And then lastly, I think one of the other important things and unique things of our program is really the engagement opportunities with industry. So not only did they help us co-create it, but they're going to help us by doing master classes, talking, coming in as speakers, helping with workforce readiness, like so reviewing resumes, and so you'll have opportunities throughout the program to engage with our industry partners and have those communications. So I mentioned our AI centers a little earlier. We have one at North and one at Wolfson. So it really is an interdisciplinary space. Now, remember, we have that AI college credit certificate that is more for everybody, that allows anybody to learn and get their feet wet in AI. And so we have classes currently going on in these two centers from English, philosophy, science, math, and all of them are applying AI, even business. And so we really want to make sure that every student has the opportunity to engage and learn AI despite their program. So we do have obviously hands-on learning, like I mentioned, and they are located in these spaces. They have robotics and maker spaces within the AI centers. We do our AI classes there, state-of-the-art technology. We have an AI assistant in one of them where you walk in, you're able to engage with that AI assistant and talk to the AI assistant. They can answer your questions based on ChatGPT. So there's a lot of learning opportunities within these spaces. But the most important thing is that we provide our students with support on these spaces. So we'll have tutors and academic support resources that will help you succeed in the program. We also have scholarships because we understand, it's not easy to pay for school, and what are some of the opportunities that we have around that. And so we have our Javier Kotto scholarship, and the eligibility is listed there. You'll see it there. You have to be a Miami-Dade County resident. You have to enroll for the first time in one of our AI courses. These are just a few that I listed. That there's more. If you go to our website and you visit our Javier Kotto scholarship sections, you'll see there the list of classes that you can take. The funds for this scholarship will be applied automatically after all the other scholarships, financial aid, and grants fund have been applied. What does that mean? That means that if you get financial aid and it doesn't cover this course because you ran out of financial aid, or you don't get the maximum amount of financial aid award, this scholarship will cover the rest of this class for you. So in essence, the class is free. The beauty of this scholarship is that you don't have to apply. All you have to do is enroll in one of the courses and the scholarship will automatically apply as long as the eligibility is met. So you don't have to fill out an application. You don't have to make sure that you're, submit an essay. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for our students to be able to take advantage of this opportunity to take these classes for free. So I do want to schedule some time. I wanted to make sure that we heard from our industry partners. We have Dr. Robin Lujian and Noel Silver who are joining us. They are amazing partners. They've been with us from the beginning in the development of our program. They are both members of our build. They are, I can't say enough, they're family at this point. And so I want to introduce them as they'll be having the conversation around AI and give you some additional information. So Dr. Robin Lujian is the AVP for Advanced Analytics at Ascena, who you may know better through their brands, Ann Taylor and Lane Bryant. She also serves as the Vice President for Practice of Informs, the largest society in the world for professionals in the field of operations research, management science, and analytics. In addition, she serves as a board member for the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, and on advisory councils at the University of Florida and Cornell University. Robin was awarded the Informs Impact Prize and the George E. Kimball Medal and earned a PhD in mathematical sciences from Clemson University. Our other guest is Ms. Noel Silver. Ms. Silver currently serves as a global AI solutions lead at Accenture and is responsible for enterprise scale industry playbooks for generative AI and large language models. Ms. Silver is a multi-award-winning technologist and entrepreneur who has led teams at NPR, Microsoft, and Amazon, and is a consistent champion for public understanding of AI and tech fluency. Ms. Silver has launched and established several initiatives supporting women and underrepresented communities within AI and is the founder of AI Leadership Institute, where she is mentoring and coaching girls and young women to pursue a career in AI and emerging technology. She was recently awarded the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Award for AI, as well as VentureBeat's Women in AI Responsibility and Ethics Award. Please join me in welcoming these two friends and family of MDC to the conversation. Ms. Luji, Dr. Luji?
Thank you, Manny. I'm really delighted to be here. I hope Noelle's on the line.
Let's see if we can get her. I think she was having some connectivity issues, but we can proceed while she connects. Could you talk to a little bit about us, Dr. Luji, on how you got involved in AI and what those steps were like?
Yes, I got involved in AI later in my career. So Manny said earlier, a lot of people came to AI through math and computer science. That was me. I already had a degree in mathematics. I was doing a lot of exciting work in mathematical optimization, but technology changes. So I was a person who was later in my career and needed to adapt to this great new machine learning and artificial intelligence technology. So I got the opportunity to lead a group of data scientists and machine learning engineers at Asina, where I work now. And I've been just trying to learn as much as I can about this amazing field and deploying AI models through all aspects of our retail operations. So, I hope if anyone out there is, wondering, is it too late? Am I too old? I'd say no. It's really, if you have the passion or interest in it, it's really a great opportunity. There's such a need for skilled people and also people who have backgrounds in other industries to bring that together with the AI in order to help with the decision science of making new decisions based on AI.
Thank you, Dr. Luji. I have another question. So we know that obviously AI is growing, and I mentioned that in the beginning of the presentation. Where do you see, in your opinion, where do you see the biggest need, right, when it comes to AI professionals, and how how does that tie into the need for AI professionals, right? And how do we gain that access for our students, right? How do we make sure that they understand that AI is here, it's not just a phase?
Wow, Manny, that is such a good question. I'm really struggling with the biggest need because it's so pervasive. In my company, where we do women's fashion retail, it touches everything. Not only with requests from my team to help develop decision support tools and predictions based on the data, but all the enterprise solutions that we buy, whether it's our email service providers, they have AI baked into their solutions. If it's our website and our stores, they have AI baked into it. Our loyalty programs, every tool, every service, people are using AI, machine learning, to try to find predictions and patterns and insights. In fact, we recently had a meeting with the CEO, and they were calling out the need to do data mining and patterns to help the business. I mean, it's all the way to the top level of our company. It's hard to explain the enthusiasm and the excitement for AI. It's one thing to have an internal group of AI experts working, but to go all the way through the leadership, that's really impressive.
Yeah, thank you. And I know in your role, obviously, there's a lot of hiring that occurs, right? And so a lot of the hiring managers want a candidate with experience. how do you get relative experience as a student or as someone that's starting with an AI, right? So it's such a big field. So what would be the starting point in your opinion?
Yeah, I feel like that's a real gotcha. When you're a student and you're applying for a role that asks for 1 year, 2 year experience, and you're like, I want a job in order to get the experience you're looking for, it can feel frustrating. So that's why I love the applied program at Miami-Dade, because there's so many things you can do as a student to get experience that not only differentiates you from other candidates, but also helps you figure out among all the different kinds of AIs and kinds of problems and kinds of industries, where do you really connect? So I would strongly recommend, if you get the opportunity to work on an internship, or if you have a problem that one of the speakers talks about, to write the code, to get your own GitHub account, to publish your code, to just be active and put yourself out there. I had a wonderful candidate, someone I hired, and she had a passion. And so she just started writing code and working on projects for herself to organize her closet, to think about how she was going to do grocery lists. So it doesn't have to be a huge project for a large company that saves millions of dollars. It's just getting your hands dirty and taking action and showing the results. That's big.
No, I agree, Dr. Lujian. I think, when we consider everything around AI, I think we're already using it. We just don't realize it, right? I think oftentimes, I can tell you, I have two kids at home, and I have an Alexa who they test constantly. But it's interesting, and I know Noel was having some connectivity issues and couldn't join us, but Noel, who worked for AWS, as I mentioned, and she was sharing that, she was one of the founding coders and implementers of Alexa, and she was sharing that there's a lot of things that we have to take into consideration when we're doing something within AI, different perspectives, and the globalization of AI and everybody using AI. And so, aside from coding, right? And I think one of the questions that we've always gotten, and I would love your take on this, is what if you've never written software or code in your life, right? Do you have to code to get started with AI? And so I'd love your take on that.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry Noelle can't join us, because she's such a force of nature and has such an amazing story that I can't do justice with. But more and more, as artificial intelligence and machine learning matures, there's a move to lower the barrier to entry, to have low code or no code environments. So the answer to the question is no. I was recently looking at a tool which is used to manage customer data, and they had templated functions. So you didn't have to know how to write Python code in order to be able to drag and drop and put together machine learning models. Now, it wasn't as powerful as if you were an expert hacker Python, but you could do amazing things with this templated technology. And that's a similar paradigm that we've seen in other technology fields. Sort of, even if you think about computers back in the day, right? You had to start off by getting your number 2 screwdriver and putting it together yourself. And over time, now they're in our phones. The phone is more powerful than the computer that was used to send a man to a moon. And the same thing's happening with artificial intelligence. I think one thing that I think is very true and is true for me is sometimes taking that first step can seem like so big and so impossible. And, but once you get over it, it seems to be more doable. So I would really encourage people, if they have interest in the program, to check it out, because the community at Miami-Dade here is amazing. It's not a Horatio Alger story where you have to do it all yourself. It's not like that in the work environment with my team. We help each other. We don't have all the answers. We Google a lot of times, to find out the syntax or find out the answers. And it's very collaborative. And it's actually fun to see the results and compare models. So I think of it as a team sport.
No, absolutely. And I think that's what's made this program so unique, is the fact that we've approached it from that perspective, in terms of looking at and saying, okay, how do we make this collectively? So we have individuals like you, we have from fashion, right? And then we have individuals like Noel. We have so many different perspectives that I think really created a program that meets the needs, right? And I think that that's why, everybody's here trying to learn more about it. We're extremely excited to have, the opportunity to engage with industry and create those opportunities for our students as well. I know you mentioned that it was very hard, right, to start in the career of AI. Could you mention some of the challenges you had, and maybe what was the hardest part of starting?
Well, sometimes it's hard to be a beginner. If you're a professional or an older professional like me, you're used to being correct. You're used to being able to figure it out. And it can be hard to start again and be wrong, and to tolerate not knowing, and to also figure out, when do I ask for help?
Mhm.
I think also for me in my academic environment, I got grades based on my own effort. So there's this culture in school where you have to do all the work yourself and know it all yourself. And it's very different in a work environment. A lot of times in the work, we just want to get it done quickly. So you need to figure out when you need to ask a question and get an answer so you can deliver by a deadline, or get it out the door because the store is going to open up in a few hours. So I think, really, to tell you the truth, Manny, the hardest part was getting over myself and just getting started. But once I got started, I found people, and I found so many resources out there. And it's, we talk about AI, but it's so multifaceted. There's so many cool things happening, from the applications, which is the focus of the Miami-Dade degree, to the changes in the hardware that are allowing new software languages, and new applications bigger and better to run. So there's so much out there. It's really a fascinating time to be alive and be involved with the field.
Thanks, Robin. And I think so. So you hit something that really triggered a thought in my head, right? Was reaching out for help. And oftentimes that's a big step, like you mentioned, and the opportunity for us to be able to reach out. I think that's where mentors come in as well, right? And having those opportunities around mentorship. Did you have any mentors that helped you along the way? And because I could imagine in a field, and I can tell you because I'm a computer science major myself, I know that being a female in the field is also a challenge, right? And especially during a time where you're having to reach out for help, and trying to navigate the waters could be difficult. And I was just curious to know if you had any mentors, and what that experience was like.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, I have had some experiences where I'm the only woman in the room. And in that case, sometimes there's like this bro culture um, about computers that have made it a little hard for me. But I have found mentors, and they tend to be younger people. They're not always people who are very, very senior. They've been people who've been my peers, or people have been younger, and they're just so open with showing me how they do things. And I appreciate that. I appreciate learning the ropes together. And it's also, I like pairs coding,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
style of coding where you do it together, where one person's looking at the screen and another person has their finger on the keyboard. And, many eyes make all bugs shallow, but you also get to talk about decisions, about how you're going to do things. And I find that really enriching, because there's so much to know out there, and we all have taken a different path to getting to this point. And so I learn a lot of different about different libraries, or different testing, or different coding package, or different ways to approach this from my peers.
Thanks for sharing that. I know that's a huge piece, and that's something that our students are always looking forward to is being able to establish that mentorship, with someone in industry that can help guide them along the way and avoid some of those pitfalls that we've all encountered. And it's always important for us to be able to give back. And so I appreciate you sharing that. I have my last question, I promise. How have you seen AI change in the last 5 years, and how do you see it changing in the next 5 years, right? Because I mean, when we're talking about ChatGPT, who I know everybody probably on this webinar is familiar with, right? We didn't know anything about ChatGPT a couple of years ago. And we're looking at positions that are being created around that, and when you're talking about, a prompt engineer and so all these new positions, all these new opportunities are coming out. Like I had mentioned, 513,000 jobs are going to be open. I know you've seen some changes in the last 5 years, and I was curious to see, what would the next 5 years look like, and from your perspective.
Wow, what a great question, Manny. I gotta tell you, it's pretty phenomenal. When ChatGPT came out, it was actually a junior member of my team who was the first to jump on it, and he actually used it to help him with some of his coding problems. And so there you had someone who was junior in their career, who was just a sponge for new knowledge and enthusiasm and courageous, unafraid, checking it out and finding ways to apply it. So I found in the last 5 years, it's hard to explain the seismic shifts that have been occurring in my career in industry around AI. I don't know what the age distribution of the people are on this call or listening to you, but in industry in the industries I am, there's many people in senior positions who are much more established, and they're looking for that next edge, how they're going to beat their competitors, but they don't know the details of AI because you can't know everything, right? They're senior business executives, and they're looking to apply these new technologies to be more competitive because they're reading about it. And so it is being fueled by investment. It is being fueled by results. I'll give you an example. It is my biggest pain point when I go shopping is clothes don't fit. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, or like on online shopping. That is a problem which AI is being applied to solve right now. In order to use generative AI to be able to take pictures of clothing and then be able to apply them on different variety of models and types to accurately show how clothing drapes and fits, so you can figure out if that's an article you want to buy. Because you know how frustrating it is to buy an item of clothing, have it not fit, and then what do? You have to ship it back. And then there's all the incurred costs of restocking or cleaning or discarding that equipment. It's a problem AI is starting to solve right now and will solve in the next 5 years.
That's awesome. And I know that there's a lot of well, I don't have a problem with the clothes fitting. Where I have a problem is finding the right shampoo. But that's a separate problem. I don't know if AI can fix this, but maybe one day. And it goes to the point where, there's a lot of skepticism also around AI, right? There's always, AI is going to eliminate jobs. And I think that's really where we're starting to see that it's not that it's going to eliminate jobs, it's that, jobs are going to change, right? And so people are going to need to know AI across all levels. And I think that's the beauty of this program, right? Is that it addresses that directly with whether our CCC in terms of AI awareness, just get your feet wet, and then it goes all the way through, hopefully once approved, our baccalaureate degree. And so I think that's, it's so interesting when we have a program that is teaching us these skill sets and the actual industry is, changing and evolving, right? And growing. And so it's great. It's great for our students. It's great for our college, and obviously great for the industry to be able to find that talent once they graduate from our program. So With that being said, I thank you, Robin, for answering our questions. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for everything that you've done for our build and for the program, and have helped us in terms of developing this amazing program. What we're going to do now is we'll jump into our Q&A. And so there, if you want to ask your questions within the Q&A, I believe Yenny and James will be able to assist us with that.
Awesome, awesome. Hello, everybody. So the first question we have comes from Melanie. Anyone can answer. The first question is, good evening. If I want to have a versatile job option, should I choose computer science or the AS in applied AI?
So I don't know if you want to take this, Robin, or I can take it from the academic side, right? I think what she's asking is, should she go the computer science route or do the AI, right? I think it really depends, right? And Robin, step in, but I really think it depends on what you want to do. If you're going to do the traditional computer science and you're going to focus on coding, right, and you want to create these AI systems where you're designing and creating and coding these AI systems, then you may want to go the computer science route, right? If you're using, if you want to work within fashion, as an example, with Robin being here, right? And you're one of these individuals that's going to be in management or is going to be wanting to use the tools, then you really, like she said, it's no code, low code, right? You really don't need to engage in all these series of programming. That doesn't mean that our program doesn't have programming in it. It does. It just means that you're not going to do all of these advanced programming classes that a regular computer science person does, right? You're still going to have to take, for our program, you're still going to have to take Python, right? And some additional small coding courses. But you don't have to, traditional computer science was math and coding. That's what it was. And that's what it is. You're not going to have to take that route to do the AI. So it really depends on where you want to land in terms of your career. Both routes, I would say there's a need for both. I can tell you, I know we're talking about AI, but there's also a huge need for computer science. But I think it really depends on where you want to land. Robin, you want to chime in?
Yes, both of them are super versatile. I agree with everything Manny said. I think maybe a different question Melanie may want to consider is what really makes her happy? A lot of computer science jobs will have nothing to do with AI. You'll be working with data or working with other aspects. So if you're happy with that aspect, then by all means go for it. You'll have lots of versatile job options. But if you do the applied AI, you'll be working more in a certain area. And again, tons of job opportunities, but most of them will be probably more AI specific.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. So the next question comes from, I hope I don't butcher your name, Guevara. She asked, AI has evolved so fast in only 3 months. How can you make sure that a 2-year or even more, a 4-year program will be relevant by the time we graduate?
Yeah, so that's a great question, right? And I think, and we're all smiling because that's one of the first questions we addressed when we got together as a group and decided to create the curriculum. Because once the curriculum is created, it's not that it's static, right? We will constantly, and we're doing this now, we're constantly meeting with our built members, which is our advisory team, to review the curriculum, to discuss trends, to look at the abilities and skills that are maybe changing. And so we're constantly reviewing and updating the competencies of the courses. And so as the industry evolves and AI evolves, we evolve along with it. Right. And the other thing is that we're looking at other opportunities as well via internships, via, other learning opportunities to help supplement, what you're learning in class, but also outside. And so we're creating that ecosystem. And those are the conversations we're having now with Build, right? But the program itself, you can rest assured it will be current. It's just like all of our other programs. We're constantly reviewing them and making changes to the competencies to make sure that when you graduate, you're learning exactly what you need for the workforce.
Hey, Manny, if I can add in there.
Please.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying, but I'd also say you never stop learning.
Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah.
My team, we engage in learning sessions. to try to keep up with all the things we want to know about. So we spend a couple hours every week together as a team taking courses together. We also have lunch and learn sessions, which are open to the corporation, simply because, to the point Guevara is raising, there's so much happening, and it's such a fast moving environment that that's what makes it fun. You know, we're continually learning and trying to figure out new ways to apply what we're learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Every day is a learning opportunity.
Okay, thank you. So the next question comes from Joseph Tyler. Joseph asks, what backgrounds would be the best foundation for the AI practitioner certificate? I've been working as a diesel mechanic for 6 to 7 years. And would it be practical to do the AI awareness certificate in a practitioner and then continue on to do the degree program?
Yeah, so I would say you can start with the AI. So if we go, and I'm gonna just bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna go back so you can see. So if you notice, you can do these. You see that this is the AI awareness that he was talking about. You'll see the 3 classes, right? If you notice, the first 2 classes also count, and the elective also feeds into the other college credit certificate. So if you notice, you're in this one, in the AI awareness, the one that I would recommend you start with, you would get the artificial intelligence thinking, artificial intelligence and ethics, and then you would do discipline specific elective, right? Once you're done with those 3 courses, you can continue into the practitioner, which has those 3 classes, right? You see it there, the intelligence thinking, the ethics, and the last bullet is the elective. And then you would just have to take those next 4 courses. So you're building on your knowledge and skill set. I would say start there, especially if you're very new to AI, you're not sure what AI is, right? You've never had a exposure to AI. And we designed it in that way so you can build your knowledge and skill set as you go along, right? So I would say yes, start with the artificial intelligence awareness, move into your practitioner, and then go in through the AS, because that's the way they were designed, was stackable. Any other questions?
Awesome. Oh, we have a bunch for you.
Okay.
Let's give you
problem.
guys a easy one. Where is AI applicable in healthcare?
Oh, wow. So it's interesting that that question comes in. I just had a meeting with our deans in our medical campus of our healthcare programs, and they're seeing it everywhere. They're seeing it in terms of medication. They're seeing it in terms of being able to diagnose, sicknesses, diseases, treatments. And so it really is amazing for you to be able to put in your information, and it can tell you more or less, what you have and what treatment you need to get, and really apply that and start to learn in the process to be able to identify early. And so they're super excited. I'm not a science person, but I do know that they're interested. We are sending our faculty and the deans to a conference on AI in healthcare that's occurring later this month. They are currently working on, they want to create, as you saw, the discipline specific course. Sorry, I'm going back again. But if you notice, it was a discipline specific elective. They're working on creating an AI for healthcare course that they want to be able to offer that to our healthcare students, so that our healthcare students can also enroll in this and take advantage of it. So we're seeing it like Robin and I mentioned, it is not, AI doesn't exist just in one vertical. It's touching everything and all sectors, real estate, we see it in real estate, education, we've seen it everywhere, fashion. We're seeing it wherever it can apply. I think it's a tool as more and more people start to pick up on it. They find ways to apply it and make things a lot better and easier for them. So, but yes, those are some of the ways. I'm looking forward to working with our medical campus and our faculty and our deans there to really create that course. And I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Awesome. So we have a question from Facebook Live. Thanks for this virtual information session. In the AI programs, are there options available for prior learning or industry training that will help accelerate completion time?
Yes, so we have, and that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So we do have an office of prior learning assessment where we would have to evaluate and see what your experience is and how it can tie in. And usually what we do is we look at the competencies of the course. And if we're able to assess that your experience, your knowledge ties into some of those competencies of the course, then we can award credit. The other thing is that if we do, for instance, with some of our other programs like cybersecurity, there are some recognized industry certifications around that topic, around cybersecurity, that we equate to a class. And so if they show up, for instance, with their Security Plus certification, we'll give them a course. Obviously, AI, we're still looking at those industry certifications because we want to make sure that we build them in to the curriculum and have those conversations with our build members. What's interesting is that we have different types of certifications. And since I guess it's new and evolving, there hasn't been an industry, driven, an industry recognized certification that everybody can agree on, because it's so many industries, right? And so, but yes, we do offer the opportunity to earn credit through prior learning assessment. And that's something that we can connect you with our prior learning assessment office. We would look at your experience, your resume, portfolio. There's a process that has to be followed to award credit, but that is definitely an option.
Awesome. And Katia Perez asked, I am currently enrolled in a bachelor program for teaching exceptional student education. I am planning on continuing working later on STEAM. Is there room for AI is there room for AI related to teaching in public schools, and how will it work? Thank you.
So yes, there's what we're seeing is there's room for AI everywhere. I would say it's a great opportunity for you as a teacher to start to understand what AI is. And so I would recommend that you take that AI awareness CCC, the college credit certificate, and really look at those opportunities. Start to get your feet wet with AI, right? I think that's one of the important things. I know our School of Education is also working on a discipline-specific course and what that looks like. There's definitely a lot of tools and applications around education and AI that can be applied. I don't know what area, whether you're doing elementary, middle, or high school, but I know that obviously there's been a huge tech shift within education for the past several years now, and more students are using tech in the classroom. And so I think the answer to your question is yes, there's definitely room for AI in education. I think you should start now. And I'm not just saying this because I work for Miami-Dade College. I'm saying, it's important for you to understand what are those technologies that are out there, specifically AI, and how you can use it within your lesson plans and what you're trying to do with the kids and be as innovative as possible.
Hey, Manny, I'm laughing at Victor's question because I'm trying to learn Spanish as a second language. And so you probably have heard of this app called Duolingo.
Yep, Duolingo, yep.
Right, started by a CMU professor, and it's all AI for education.
Yep.
And it's helping me. And they started a new app in it for mathematics.
Yes, I heard it's good. I haven't, my son hasn't tried yet, but my son's walking around speaking Italian because of Duolingo. So he was on Russian for a couple of days, and he struggled through that one, and so he figured he'd go Italian. But yes, so like I said, AI is touching everything, and so the earlier you can get on and start to learn a little bit about it, the better.
Awesome. The next question, before we go to the breakout, two-part question from Christopher Ridgway. Christopher asks, I've got experience making virtual talking avatars through ChatGPT, OpenAI, Python, machine learning, etc. Admittedly, largely copy and paste others' code from GitHub and customizing it. Text to speech, blah, blah. My question is it practical / probable to have something like that on an individual computer without relying on corporation-based AI? That's the first question.
I'm not exactly sure what Christopher means by practical or probable, but let me just say, copy and pasting, reuse is good. I mean, very good. I think this goes back to sort of what I talked about before about my mentality as a student where I had to do all my original work, like no plagiarism, to how we do coding in a
Mhm.
industry environment. It's like, if you were to do it from scratch and not copy, that would be bad because you're wasting time. You're not
Right.
going down the best. So go, Christopher. That's the way to do it. Copy and paste and modify. Is it practical to run it on an individual computer? I'm not sure if you're talking about running it on your own laptop for memory or processing issues versus a cloud, like the size of the models. So I'm not exactly sure what you're getting on at that point.
All
Manny,
right.
do you have a sense?
Yeah, I was gonna add that one, and obviously as someone who also did computer science, right?
Mhm.
The important thing is to understand, right, what the code does, how the functionality, how you're applying it. That's the important thing, because I know obviously when you're writing code, it takes time. And when you're in the real world, time is money. And so it's important to understand and leverage some of those free resources, but really understand what it's doing, how you're using it, what you need it for, is just as important, right? So you're learning through the process. You're not just grabbing and throwing it together, and you're not learning in that process. It's important to learn through that process. So when asked, you can exactly explain what's going on, right? So
Yeah. And I guess the other part to that is when you're copying and pasting is that the code is available under an appropriate license
yeah.
for your business because of there are many different types of open source software licenses. So you just have to follow the guidelines from your company.
Mhm.
And Christopher's second question was, what are your thoughts? What he wants to know what your thoughts are on machine learning used to teach AI to play video games or sing or other things that normally humans would do. I've noticed some of us see it as a super cool novelty, while others get paranoid of it replacing us. So I'm curious of your take.
Manny, you want to go first?
So yeah, so I'll tell you something. I think I think it's a double-edged sword, right? I think it really how you apply it. Um, I've seen, I think it's a great tool when you're talking about accelerating some of these learning opportunities and models, especially within medicine and other areas that really can help, like sustainability, medicine, things that normally take long and lengthy periods of time to process a lot of data. Um, I think when you apply it to something like that, yes, I don't think, like I mentioned in the beginning, I don't think we're going to be replacing jobs. Someone still needs to monitor, that AI, what's going on, how's it operating, quality assurance, things like that. I think the jobs are going to change a little bit. I think the job descriptions will change as a result of AI. The skill sets of each employee will change. Like I said in the beginning, there's 533,000, new jobs around AI. These are new jobs. It's not saying that it's going to eliminate 533,000 jobs. They're new jobs around AI. So I think that the job will evolve into something else. I think that it's going to require some upskilling on part of individuals that are currently in some roles that will require an AI function. And so I think they're going to have to upskill and learn some new skill sets.
I like the way you described it, Manny, double-edged sword. I had the chance to work in a computational creativity project that Manny and Miami-Dade was so kind to invite me to talk about earlier, involving flavors and food. But I'm really interested to see how it plays out in terms of creativity.
Mm.
We see the writers on strike. We see the artists wondering about how their material is being used for training of AI. We see legislation on the horizon. And how is the money going to be equitably dispersed to the people whose work is being used by AI? I mean, I think this is part of the really interesting time that we're alive in, and part of that whole fomenting movement that Manny's been talking about. Like we don't know the answers, but we see it coming. And one of the things I like about Miami-Dade's program is the ethics course,
Mhm.
right? How important to understand some of those important issues as someone becoming aware of AI or practicing in it.
All right, all right. So we have 4 minutes. Do you guys want to take one more question or go into the
Yeah,
close?
let's do one more.
Okay, so this question is from David. David wants to know if I never work on computers or study anything on computers, if I get a college credit certificate, will I be able to land a job as I continue working with a possible AS in AI?
Yeah, so I think so. The answer to that is I would say you would have to definitely get through the college credit certificate and the practitioner if you want to do something with AI. And I think you'd have to have some maybe like into your AS. But it really depends on the field, right? Like we said, you have different fields within that are using AI, and so it really depends where you land, and where that company is within their AI integration or implementation, right? And so I think having that extra toolkit in your pocket around AI can definitely help. You're definitely going to need, if you really want to get into the advanced positions about AI, that's why we designed that stackable credential to go straight through to the bachelor's once approved, because you're going to need to deepen your knowledge as you move up, right, in rank. And so I would say, yes, but you'd have to get through the CCC. And then, like I mentioned, we're working on with our business and industry leadership team and actually local organizations in Miami-Dade County on defining what those positions are, right? Because as Robin said, we're still learning around AI. Companies are just, they're hearing the buzz. I've had conversations with several employers in Miami, and they're like, I know I need it. I just don't know who I need or what I need, because I myself, as a company CEO, I don't know what I need with it when it comes to AI. I know what I need for my business. I don't know how AI can, how can I help? And so one of the things that the college is doing is working closely. And Michael Menino is on this call, who's our director of our AI centers. And Michael's been working closely with our industry partners locally in Miami to really have those conversations and define what those positions look like, because they know they need these positions, right? They just don't know what type of position they need. And that's part of being, at the front of the line, right? Like I like to say, when you're at the roller coaster and they put you in the front of the cart, is very different from the person sitting in the back, because the person sitting in the back can see what's happening to the person in the front. But the person in the front is like, I'm the first one to go through it. So that's what's happening to a lot of organizations and industry. They're in the front of the cart, and they're saying, I'm on this ride. I know I need to get on this ride. I just don't know what to expect. And so it helps to have someone, a partner like Miami-Dade College, to be able to say, okay, listen, this is what we're hearing from industry. This is the type of program that we're creating. These are the positions you're going to need, right? And how do we link those together? So I know it's a lengthy answer to your question. But I do want to let you know, obviously that yes, depending on the industry that you're going into and the opportunities around there. So I think we're at time. I did want to share with you, and I want to thank you, Robin, again for taking the questions and for everybody who submitted their questions. I know we didn't get through all of them, but we will provide responses to you via the Q&A, or we'll make sure we get your answers. I did want to share some information. We will have a breakout session to assist with anyone who is looking to enroll in the courses now. Remember, to receive the scholarship, you can take the class for free. The classes for AI are for free. Like that's a really, really unique opportunity. And so you would sign up for the course. The scholarship will apply after all of your other, financial assistance gets applied. The scholarship will cover whatever else. If you're not receiving any financial assistance, the scholarship will still cover for the course, the complete course. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be applying and enrolling in these courses. So we'll have a breakout session tonight. That's the link. You'll see it there, the website. You can join into there. If you click in, you'll join in. We have people there ready to assist you in terms of registration, enrollment. We're also doing registration workshops every Wednesday in August from 6 to 7 p.m. And that's the link there. So you may want to write that down. And we'll also send a follow-up email to everybody who attended. There you'll be able to, get your questions answered and then also enroll in the courses. And lastly, I wanted to share some important contact information. We have Yenny Jimenez, who's on the call. She's our AI project manager. That's her contact, her email, and her phone number. Michael Menino, who's on the call, who I was just talking about. He's our AI center director, so he oversees all of our AI centers. His email and his contact information there. And then our director of recruitment, which we heard from earlier, he's also there. I think he stepped out because he went to that breakout session and getting ready. So I also included our web address on the bottom, along with our email. Please feel free to email us any questions, any questions at all regarding our program. We want to make sure that we're able to assist you and that you're able to enroll in this wonderful opportunity. Once again, thank you all for attending this webinar. It's been my pleasure to share some of this information, engage with you. Robin, thank you so much for joining us again. I look forward to our continued partnership and work together. And thank you all again, Michael, Jenny, and everybody else who helped put this together. This has been an amazing opportunity. Thank you all again and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Manny.